The story of dating websites, from personal ads in 1695 to the first internet websites in 1995, people have always used whatever technology there is to reach out, connect, and get what they want. But rarely do we ever get what we want. We barely find anyone to even see if they are what we want. Dating websites started with simple questions, matching them up with others who, for example, like dogs, or are vegetarians, or whole sites just for finding another biker. Sure, those things might be important to you, but is being a biker or even the same religion a good foundation for a relationship? Any kind of relationship. When you go over to your friend's house to play video games, it's not because you are both Christians, it's because you both want the same things. To play video games. This is what dating websites have all wrong. No structure. They focus on chemistry and completely ignore what the customer wants. From 1995 to Tinder in 2012, this pattern has only gotten worse. Structure is people's wants. The life you want, the time you want. It's what every quality relationship is built on. If people want to hook up, do they want people to stay the night? Do they want the other person to have the possibility of catching feelings? Well, if expectations are clear, and both sides know what is expected from them, what to do and what not to do, the set structure and boundaries are ironically more freeing, leading to more risk-taking, fun, and honesty. These awkward questions that arise from not knowing what the other person wants or expects, like paying the bill, limits of touching on the first date, these unknowns create a fog in the actual dates. One of the most common questions on a dating website is, why are you here? People spend months and sometimes years trying to tease out their partner's wants and intentions when it comes to such things as kids, careers, and what their vision of the life they want is, or even down to how serious of a relationship they're looking for, or what kind of first date they want. That's where a website like mine comes in. By focusing on structure, it creates the playing field for real chemistry to be found, because real chemistry can only be found by actually engaging with the other person. Just because someone is a sports fanatic and you are not, does not mean that you both won't have an amazing conversation that lasts all night long. This is how these other websites actually hinder you from finding chemistry. I guess we'll have to start calling Tinder Hinder. It's people's wants and expectations, what they want the first date or hookup to be like, and who they expect their date to be. And it's the other way around. What they want their date to expect of them, and what they want their date to want of them. When their foundations match, they now have the structure and foundation on which to build a relationship. People already fall all over themselves striving for this service without even realizing it. In new relationships, people are so excited initially that most first launches putter out just as quickly. In arranged marriages, there is zero enthusiasm in the beginning. Instead, as time goes on, their enthusiasm increases over time. But it's the structure that leads them to having the highest rates of marriage satisfaction. The way many people try to instinctively achieve this is by being friends first. All this does is set up both parties for a gamble on losing a friend. People simply don't know how to do it. This is why such things as the friend zone have become social issues, usually with the man feeling stuck waiting and the woman feeling used and betrayed by a friend. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Fixing this dynamic by using our structured service isn't even the best part. When the logistic fog is lifted and the foundation is in place, the pressure of tiptoeing through the fog is not there, relieving some pressure on both parties. And when you relax, you can be yourself more. See, rather than compounding a problem, you are compounding a solution. Being yourself fosters honesty. Honesty brings risk-taking, and risk-taking brings fun. Once again, paradoxically, knowing the boundaries allows for more freedom, making it easier to actually find more pure truth as to whether or not two people actually have chemistry. I even think that this will lessen the puffing out of the chest that comes in people's profiles on both sides of the aisle. In conclusion, back in the day, our society was the structure. It was expected the man pays, you don't bone until marriage or love, and all family units were identical, with the wife child rearing and the husband breadwinning. But for better or worse, now people all have their own ideas and visions of the life they want. But with people operating on different structures, actual dates reflect the same logistical problems that all dating sites until now have, and that's where my website comes in. With my website, this is the first time a service has solved the logistical problems of all kinds of relationships, creating the structure for people to get what they want. Never again will a casual fling turn into a morning cling. Never again will a date go south because boundaries were not clear. In a relationship, once the expectations finally become clear, isn't that where the real fun begins anyway? This is not like any other dating site that has ever been thought of. When it comes to meeting new people for any kind of relationship, there's a certain amount of poking and prodding that comes with trying to figure out what the person's intentions and expectations are. I call this a logistical fog, and people lift this fog by coming to an understanding of wants and needs. In other words, a foundation to form a relationship. This is what dating websites have all wrong: no structure. They focus on chemistry and completely ignore the customer's wants. And from Match in 1995 to Tinder in 2012, this pattern has only gotten worse. The way my website gets people what they want is by asking questions to form a kind of declaration of their wants and are matched with others who share specific wants. A short example of the result of these questions would be a declaration that reads like this: I want a date to this movie between these times, and I want no more than hand-holding and a kiss on the cheek with no chance of the date lasting longer than the specified time. They are then matched with someone who wants the exact same thing. There are 3 paths on my site, one for dating, one for hooking up, and one for marriage. Each path with a unique declaration of what they want. It's about people's wants and expectations, what they want the first date to be like, and who they expect their date to be, and the other way around. Once the expectations and wants become clear to both parties, that is where real chemistry can be found. The reason it's so important to get these things out in the open and set up a structure of boundaries and expectations is because, ironically, knowing the boundaries allows for more freedom. Both parties can relax and be themselves more, so they find the more pure truth as to whether or not those two people actually have chemistry. This is the first time a dating site will solve the logistics of meeting people for the first time. These questions lift the logistical fog that comes with first dates and can sometimes stretch into marriage. One of the most common things on dating websites is asking someone why they are there. Both sides always ask this, but the women that get hundreds of messages every day reflect this in their profiles by stating to not ask them why they are there, and are also the ones to remedy this in their profile description. But I think it's not nearly enough. This might not seem like a huge thing at first glance, but I see it as a huge phenomenon to be exploited for financial gain. But even greater, it could be a tool needed to help society as it transfers itself into the digital age. And romantic relationships are the only aspect that has not been improved by technology because of a lack of understanding. Society in this aspect is stumbling forward in this new age blindly. They give up on trying altogether, and this is seen in the huge rise in virginity among millennials, and to the extreme the group self-entitled involuntarily celibate, that have gone on mass killing sprees. For example, the Elliot Rodger shooting in 2014 and the van attack in Toronto in 2018. With the news of birth rates declining and the decline in marriages, this service will be the most popular in the US, UK, and Japan. There's so many things that stem from this logistical fog, but the gist is making clear expectations, and it's the result of that that's exciting. Because if expectations are clear and both sides know what is expected of them, what to do and what not to do, then it's the set structure and boundaries that are ironically more freeing, leading to more risk-taking, fun, and honesty. So the benefits of my structured system service roll out of control, compounding with benefits to the user. And since I'm not just some other niche, I'm not creating a smaller pond to fish in, I'm taking the entire pond and expanding on it because I think even people already in relationships will benefit from using the service. Because this is the first time that the internet is going to be used as the tool that it is, going to make life better rather than just transferring over a failure into the digital realm and streamlining the same problems. The point is that there is a huge social black spot that people crave a fix for, and they fall all over themselves to fix it, just not being able to define the problem and not even realizing it. What's worse is the way in which they try to. It hurts their relationships even more. One example is social issues like the friend zone. People crave structure, so they set some kind of boundaries to just be friends first and see where it goes from there. The problems that arise are this huge social issue known as the friend zone, with men feeling stuck waiting and women feeling used and betrayed by a friend. This is one example of what people in dating websites do to compound a problem. In the 50s, there was a foundation for relationships given to us by society, even explicitly with those black and white how to date videos and how you should treat women if you join the Marines videos. If you haven't seen them, they are pretty interesting. But now today, most people somewhat reject any foundation laid out for them to varying degrees, if any foundation is laid out for them at all. We all have our own ideas of what we want and expect. This creates an extra layer of difficulty for finding someone. First, we have the layer of wants, a series of visions of the life you want. This is the foundation layer. The other layer is chemistry. You might find someone who has completely different tastes than you. One likes sports and one likes reading. But they may still have great conversations that last until they get kicked out of the restaurant. Now, if your chemistry matches up, but your wants are different, the relationship never lasts. One person wants to hook up while the other wants a relationship. If their chemistry does shove them together, it's a mess leading them to heartbreak. What people want out of life is everything to them. And why would they compromise with the only life they have? If you want kids, then no sacrifice is too great for that goal. This way of thinking, for better or worse, dominates over the meta of USA, England, and Japan. But if your wants or foundation match up, then there is a greater chance of compromise or wiggle room. Outgoing guys being attracted to nerdy introverts, but they both want 8 kids. So why do all dating programs from the 60s to today focus on chemistry? OkCupid doesn't really know what it's doing. Neither does any other website. So says OkCupid's co-founder, Christian Rudder. Why else would they keep their super great algorithms a secret rather than advertise it? Well, except for a few things, they do nothing but match you with someone who checked the same boxes. But that's not a bad thing, so long as you ask the right questions. Questions focused on wants. So on my site, I say it's the first one to give you what you want. People feel this, but there's nothing better, so they make MTCH, who owns all major dating websites, worth about $4 billion today. Now all these sites boil down to who looks the best and is close enough. But what if you also knew someone who also wants to hook up twice a week, once on Tuesday and again on Friday from 7 to 9 p.m., or someone who also wants to date every Friday after work with only a kiss on the cheek at the end? Whatever you want, you can find someone who has the same want and same expectations. That not only gets you what you want, though. Making expectations clear makes those first dates less pressured. When you can feel relaxed, you can be yourself, and which in turn reveals the true nature of the chemistry those two people share. It snowballs positivity rather than negativity, because on the other websites, if you don't both like sports, then the other websites keep you away from each other because of a misunderstanding of chemistry. And from 1995, now this pattern has only gotten worse, and we have now reached the bottom of the structureless barrel. From here, society can only crave towards structure that can be seen with Japanese websites for contract marriages and other arranged marriages. Ironically, it's the gold digger websites that get it right. One girl wants to be spoiled, and one rich guy doesn't want to not get exactly what he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if these relationships lead to marriage because they both have an understanding between them that serves as the structure to live the life they want, where all their needs and wants are met. And it must be mentioned that the people with the most consistent and highest rates of marriage satisfaction come from arranged marriages. Their enthusiasm is the lowest in the beginning and increases over time because they have the foundation and structure of their wants and expectations being met first. They are met with a kind of terms and conditions, a contract, a treaty, a declaration. People will catch on to this eventually, but I am ahead of the curve. I see the patterns of the most asked questions and the reasons behind them. The most asked questions on every first date and dating website is, why are you here? What are you wanting? In women who receive hundreds of messages, their description almost always says, don't ask me why I'm here, and then they explain what they want. This is one of the flags showing the future. Others include friend zoning becoming a social issue, people unable to function without structure and think themselves into an inescapable loneliness. Of course, I'm talking about the self-titled, involuntarily celibate mass killings. So not only am I trying to pave society's rough road, I'm also trying to make money to pave that road with. We have many technologies that make our lives more efficient. Let's not make dating exempt from that. For better or worse, we do have our own unique ideas and wants in today's age, but we must be able to find those other like-minded people. In transition times, things are more complicated before they become a simple structure to navigate. Because rather than the rules of dating changing from one generation to the next, as they always have, this time we will have many sets of rules. It is only natural that we need the tool that has touched our lives in every other way, technology.